Hello, Swindon Town fans. The fan chat is back for another record, and it is our summer schedule episode 3. Just before we get into tonight's conversation, just a point on the scenes we witnessed at the weekend with regards to Christian Eriksen. Obviously, it was horrible, horrific viewing for anyone who did sit through it. I'm sure we've all got our own opinions on the coverage on it, but the most important thing to say is that the news coming out of Denmark is positive. He seems to be stable and recovering. And on behalf of everyone involved at Fan Chat, we just want to pass on our best wishes to him, wish him a speedy recovery, and hope that he and his family are not too badly affected by what we witnessed. Because I know personally, obviously I don't know the bloke, but I know of him, and even I was very upset by what I saw. So they're passing on our best wishes. Joining me tonight, we have, who have we got with us? We've got Ben returning. He's back with us. How are you, Ben?
Hi, Steve. All well, thanks. And yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Craig is here again. He is loving life with the podcast at the minute.
Yeah, and I'm on time today as well.
You are. Adam, as always, is with us. How are you, pal?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you, right?
Yeah, very well. And very excited for the main event of the evening is Ciaran. How are you, pal?
Yeah, not too bad. You all good?
Yeah, I'm excellent. Thank you very much. And we have a debutant, someone who watched our Get to Know Us episode and took up the option, said, I'd love to be involved. So I said, come aboard. We have a man with a split personality. Some know him as Paul, others know him as Ned. All we know him is the debutant. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Oh, great. Thanks for having me on. Much appreciated.
Anytime. Let's start with a quick review of what's happened at the county ground this week. And Ned, we'll throw you in straight away. We bid ta-ta to Twine.
Yeah, it's a shame. And he's been he could have been a real asset, shall we say. We had him at the club. No one really gave him a chance. He goes out on loan, comes back. He's 10 times the player he was. It's just shame we haven't really utilised him, whilst he's, improved to such a high level. But, it's just such a shame that the ownership hasn't concluded maybe before the end of the season. Because if we had a change and we were, potentially showing that Swindon could be going up again, or, showing positive steps, then, he could well be at the club next year for the next season, just to get him to that next level. But, I wish him well. He's an absolute lovely lad. He's played so well, scored some cracking goals for us. Just wish him nothing but the best, and I think he'll thrive at MK Dons. I really do.
Ben, in your opinion, if the ownership debacle had been sorted in time, would that have helped to keep him, or was it strictly we had to stay up? Was the main talking point?
I believe that if the ownership debacle was sorted at some point during the season last year, we would have stayed up. I think it would have given much as Wigan did when they got taken over. It just would have given the whole squad a lift, and we would have seen the back door of Sheridan within hours of the new owner stepping in. And if we'd stayed up, because he's ended up at MK Dons, I have no doubt in my mind that Twine would have stayed, and we would have built a team around him in League One this season. But it's not to be. And I echo Ned's thoughts. It's such a shame for a player with such talent. The fans never got to see regularly such a talent, especially being a homegrown boy and a Swindon fan. But I think a lot of Christian was made about his choice to go to MK Dons. I think it's a fantastic move for him. He's going to play regularly. He's going to play their number 10. They play fantastic football under Luke Williams. I think he'll thrive there. I think he'll be there for a season. If MK Dons don't go up, then I think he'll get his big money move to the Championship the following season, and he'll get better and better. And I wish him nothing but success. And all the best to him.
And Ciaran, I don't think any of us are under any illusion that he won't do well in League One with someone else, are we?
No, I think he's been sensible. I know he's had offers from sort of the Championship, and there's like your Lutons, your QPRs talking about them. But realistically, would they have loaned him out to an MK Dons for a year? I think he's been sensible by becoming a permanent player at a League One club to give himself another year in League One, because he has only had half a year sort of playing regularly in League One. So I think he knows. I think with him in the South, he probably wants to give himself regular football, not be loaned out and get lost through the loan this system. See what happens to like Louis Thompson, who was a good player in League One, was just about to break that Championship mold, and he sort of it hasn't gone anywhere at Norwich. Although he's been a big club, he's played a few games for them, and I think you can use hindsight. Luckily for Twine, in that situation, and I think MK Dons as well. I think MK Dons is a clever move for him. It's a good move. I think they're going to be up there next year. They're slowly sort of building something there, and they need to be higher than they are. Need to be challenging, and I think some of the players they'll see them sign over the summer. I think like you look at possibly like Will Griggs going there on a permanent basis and stuff like that. I think it's going to be an interesting year for him there, and I wish him all the best. I don't think there's any bad feelings for Swindon fans, but I think if we had stayed up, there was more of a chance to keep him. There's more of a decision for him, but I think going down on top of the ownership thing as well doesn't help. But I think even if the owners changed and you get offered a higher league and you get offered a higher promotion, any job, you're going to take it, and I think he needs to take it as soon as he can. So if he wants to progress sort of to the Championship eventually.
And Adam, a few of the lads have sort of mentioned it. Football is a lot about fit and timing. Do you see MK Dons as the right sort of place for him to be going to?
Yeah, I think the guys mentioned it earlier as well, that if he had gone to a Championship side, the chances are he would have been loaned out. I actually think he probably would have been loaned out to a lower level League One side if that had happened. And I think he needs that opportunity now to be in the spotlight in League One. I mean, I know he was because he scored a few goals, but he was always kind of overshadowed by the fact that we were fighting for relegation. I think it's a good move for him. Obviously, personal opinions of MK Dons aside, you know, he's got to think of playing often now. He's still a young lad, but he's not as young as what we all think he is, if that makes sense. For us, it seems like he's been 17 forever. But I think it's a really good move for him. He's got a wise head on his shoulders. I think he'll do well there. And like we say, they do play nice football, regardless of what you think of them as a club. They do play nice football, and they should suit him. Put him up front or put him behind somebody like Will Grigg, who's experienced. I think he'll do well. And I think in next season, we might be sat here saying he's a Championship player, in my opinion.
And finally, Craig, is there any additional comments you'd like to what the guys have said, or are you just sort of echoing the sentiment there?
Yeah, no, I think everyone's pretty much spot on there. I mean, at the end of the day, a footballer's career is short. 35 if he's lucky. He's 21, which isn't that young. Like Adam was saying, he's not as young as we think he is. And he's only recently just broke through into league football this last season. So, I mean, even though I'd rather he didn't go to Team Franchise, and I'll use their real name, Team Franchise, it's the best move for him. Like everyone else was saying, he shouldn't go to the Championship because he'll just end up being loaned out. And it's just such as Ned was saying, it's just such a shame we haven't got him. Things could have been different if we'd have had different owners in. And even if we were able to keep him in League Two, he'd have torn that league apart. He would have done, so it is a shame, but I think all the best to him. Like I said, a footballer's career is short. So he's, he will go from strength to strength, I believe. And like everyone else was saying, I think his next step after next season will be the Championship. He's, all the best to him.
Just to give the viewers out there an idea of how well we plan these things, we're recording against the backdrop of France v Germany. And just to give you an idea of where we are, Germany have just scored a wonderful own goal to put France 1-0 up. I think it was Hummels just rocketed it in from 4 yards for no obvious reason. We'll keep you updated because you'll obviously be watching it tomorrow when you've all seen the game anyway. But we'll keep you updated. Craig,
your teddy must have been in front of mine because you started looking at that before it's even happened to mine. I was like, what's he going on about? And I've just seen, France have just scored.
Craig, we'll stick with you. Let's put one eye to the future now, and Swindon did surprise everyone by announcing 2 signings in one day. The return of Woolacott. We actually have a goalkeeper now, and Pierce Sweeney also signed. Do either give you that little bit of confidence going into the new year, or is it just a relief to have some people? I think we can now name 11.
Well, I think it's a combination of both, to be honest, Steve. I think obviously getting in a goalkeeper was key after the farce of last season with the goalkeepers. I mean, with Woolacott, a lot of people were saying, oh, why didn't we sign him on a 2-year contract? Well, he did do well in the 2 games we had, but that's all we've really seen of him. So I think signing him on a 1-year contract was the best thing to do. And maybe he'll have like a 1-year extension option on his contract. Pierce Sweeney, he looks quality. I think Exeter fans are absolutely gutted that he's come to us. And I think it also tells how McGreal's going to have us playing next season. You know, you're saying he's the best crosser in the league. I've seen some videos of his crosses, and they're just amazing. So I also think that gives us an insight that we might get a big target man coming in at some point to suit that sort of style of play. But yeah, I think, you know, Woolacott, I think he'll do all right in League Two. He looked solid in those 2 games, pulled off a couple of cracking saves, and Sweeney, he looks a class act, to be fair. So yeah, it was a surprise, but it was a nice surprise having those 2 signings. And
on that note, I've recorded similar versions of these, but an EFL version in the past, and one of the guys who's been kind enough to be involved in that, Ciaran, an Exeter fan, I asked him, should I be inspired? Because obviously people aren't normally inspired when you sign a defender. But he said, absolutely, solid player, always rated 8 out of 10, fantastic signing for this level. So, you know, as you say, fans are generally the best people to ask this kind of thing to. And whenever I get a reaction like that to a player we've signed, it does give me that little bit of a boost. Ned, what's your thoughts on the 2 signings we made this week?
Oh,
no.
We signed as a booster. But no, Joe, I personally think they're 2 amazing signings. I mean, I couldn't be any happier with those signings, to be perfectly honest. I mean, as you said, as it's been touched upon already, Jojo on a 1 year was the sensible thing to do. He got injured, as we said, you know, after a couple of games. So is he going to be another one of our, you know, standard injured for 40% of the season type players that we've already got? But yeah, honestly, I'm so happy with those signings. That's incredible, absolutely incredible. Couldn't wish for anything better. I was fully expecting to be complete trash signings, you know, Conference South sort of style. Nothing wrong with that level, obviously, but you know, I thought it was going to be trash signings. But yeah, amazing.
And Ben, if there's one thing that's normally labelled at both myself and yourself, is that we tend to be overly positive. It looks like in Ned, we've got someone else joining us. Are you equally as ecstatic by the 2 signings we've made?
I'm not ecstatic, but I'm happy. Yeah, I'm more than happy. I like Ned, thought that we would end up with some pretty average players. I thought we'll have a team of academies players starting the season, to be quite honest. I don't think any money at all be invested in the team. But I think the best way to find out about a new signing is firstly if they leave a goodbye message to the team they're going, because that means they're well thought of, and their reaction to the players going, there's absolutely gutted, which is only positive, which is only good. And we need someone like him as well. And he can play centre-back, and it's like he can play centre-back, or he can play right side of a back 3, or he can play right back, which is great. So yeah, good. But it's a good start. And Woolacott impressed me. He won us the game versus Crew, and he didn't really do anything wrong versus Lincoln. So he did all right. I'm quite happy. He's good with his feet, good shot stopper. He looked at home in League One, which means he'll be fine in League Two. So two good signings, and I'm pleasantly surprised. So yeah, good stuff.
The only thing I would be wary of, Ben, is you going through all the different positions he can play means you're starting to sound a bit Gareth Southgate, and all the fans will be on you back in no time. Ciaran, does your friend the Bear there next to you have any opinions on our signings?
It's a rabbit. Anyway.
Oh, I didn't see the
Oh,
ears. Sorry, it's a rabbit.
Rabbit.
Bless that rabbit, though.
Do you got any opinions on it? No. But I don't think I'm going to be getting too excited about them yet. They're a start. They're better than I thought we were going to be getting in general terms. Like I thought a goalkeeper would come from the National League on a free transfer or minimal fees, or would end up with lone goalkeepers again, which obviously didn't go that well last year. Obviously they kept either getting recalled or getting injured and going back, and I think it was a little bit ridiculous. We can name, with Harry Parsons signing on a professional terms as well, I think we can now name 11 plus a sub. So we're going in the right direction. We're not down to bare 11 just yet. But I think we'll see how it goes. I think if these could be the only two signings that we make and we get too excited about them, I think we're in trouble still. They could be the only sort of two signings we make from a league club. I think we need to hope Pierce and Jojo's injury records aren't too bad, because that's one thing that's let us down with even good signings over the last year or two. They've just been injury prone, and that's why clubs have wanted to get rid of them. But we'll see how they go. I'm not going to get too excited about any signing we make in pre-season. We're just going to have to see how it goes in August. But it's a start, and you got to wonder where the money's come from.
And Adam, obviously, I'm interested in your thoughts as well. But on the wider subject, there seems to be an abundance of in-the-know Twitter accounts appeared that are always announcing we're signing X, Y, and Z. I'd like your thoughts on that as well, please.
Where should I start? On the in-the-know Twitter accounts, I don't know where they honestly come from. I think it's just people trying to have a laugh, or maybe they probably have just looked at the latest bookie odds and have stacked it up on that way. But the thing is the trick is with Twitter, as many people know, the more you talk about something, the more popular it gets in terms of the trending, etc. So those in the knows then look more reliable because more people are talking about it. So I don't really have a massive, especially being involved with grassroots football and hearing all the rumours that go around grassroots football. I tend to wait until it comes from the officials, to be fair. In terms of the signings, what the bloody hell are we doing? It's June. We don't make signings in June. And we definitely don't make signings of that quality. But good signings. I agree with Ciaran. It's a start more than anything. I was a bit puzzled by the Sweeney one, I'll be honest. I think it's a great signing for us. I'm not too sure of the reasons why he's not at Exeter anymore. That's my only concern. I think he put in his goodbye message that Ben mentioned that he was something about family and things like that. But I'm pretty sure he's been with Exeter a couple of years now. Unless his family live up this way, then I can't see why he would move for that reason, or whether they couldn't afford to keep him on. And if they couldn't afford to keep him on, they wanted to spare some, I guess, gap in their wage cap. How much of that have we soaked up? That's my only concern, is how much of those big wages have we soaked up and damaged our cap before we've made further signings. But it is a very good signing. I'm positive about the signing. Woolacott, we needed a goalkeeper. It's nice to get a younger goalkeeper in permanently. I have to say that, as opposed to rushing in a 35-year-old towards the end of the transfer period. It's quite nice to have he's quite established. He, as I said, he did well for us. Was it one game he played, 2 games he played? But we needed a keeper more than anything, and you might as well get somebody in who knows the area, who knows the club a little bit already. I'm happy with the signings, but we do need several more. And a special shout out to Parsons as well. I'm really chuffed with that, but I think we're talking about that later.
Well, yeah, I was just literally about to say you and Ciaran jumped the gun slightly, so I'll go straight over to Ben. Harry Parsons signed his first pro deal. Obviously, great news for him, and someone else that the fans can sort of take to as one of our own.
Well, there was Nathan Thompson, there was Scott Twine, and now there's Harry Parsons. Another one of our own. He's come through. I suspect that he will probably get loaned out, probably to Chippenham at some point, have a season away, because he's got quite a long contract. I'll be surprised if he breaks in the first team and is regular this season. I think the lad needs games. He needs beefing up. He needs sharpness. So he probably will end up.
11 players though, Ben.
Well, I'm talking about in August, August, September. But yeah, no, he'll stay with us during the duration of pre-season. But I suspect at some point in the season, because non-league teams can loan throughout the season, he'll end up on non-league side, getting some important match practice. I think possibly next season, maybe even the season after, we'll probably see him getting a run of games in the first team. But he's prolific in the academy team. I made up that he's got a long contract, and I hope he's a success. I've not seen him play personally, but what I've read up him and what I have seen in clips, he's good. So, yeah, good. It's good to have one of our own.
And that's the point, isn't it, Craig? Throughout, any football team anywhere in the country, fans want to see homegrown players coming through, don't they?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And normally with us, we're selling our best assets before they've even signed a youth contract. So this makes a nice change. With Scott Twine, we've seen that if you're given a chance, you can make it. More often than not, I've had the argument so often on social media. So, give our youth players a chance. We go through so many players each season. The season we won the League Two, we went through 35 players. Last season, 40 plus. Surely giving some of our youth players a chance instead of bringing in, God knows who else.
Curran.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. You've opened a can of worms there, Ned. But yeah, but it's always a good thing to have him signed on. I think it depends on how many players we get in, whether he'll be loaned out or not by August. If we're struggling, they won't. You'd like to think that we won't loan him out, and he'll be on the periphery of the squad. Obviously, for his development, it might be best for him to go out on loan at Chippenham. It didn't do Scott Twine any harm. So yeah, but obviously it's great news. We've got him on a 3-year contract as well. So if he does come good and a bigger club comes in for him, at least we can get some money back for our investment.
And Ciaran, I'm surmising obviously that you are probably the youngest of all of us here. Does it still mean as much to younger fans to see young players coming through?
Yeah, I think it's always great to see lads that have sort of grown up around the area and get their chance in the team. I think I was really pleased for Twine because I know through people I know from Fawcett. And so I was really pleased he finally got his chance. I always like it when with any sort of player that's been on a youth team do get a chance. It's even, I know we've been sort of starved of it over the years at Swindon. It'd be nice to have a real cult hero that's come through the ranks, that's been there for under eights, really does care about the club and see them flourish with the club. And hopefully with things that go on, hopefully that happens and we can rise up the leagues and he's going to be a part of that. Obviously this is a start, it's his first professional contract. So obviously, yeah, imagine he'll go on loan to a local non-league side. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can bring. He's done some quality stuff. You've seen some of the clips like the FA Youth Cup games and some of the academy games. I know it's different kettle of fish going into men's football, but if you've got that ability there, you can certainly bring it into men's football, as sort of like Scott Twine's proved. And I think it was a shame we didn't sort of stay up last year because you have Parsons and Twine in the squad. It would have been nice to have two sort of homegrown players that have got a real chance of progressing with the club.
And Ned, looking at the bigger picture with regard to younger players coming through, and I'm not suggesting, Gary Neville, Harry Kane, sort of one club men kind of thing, but do you see any chance, if things go our way in terms of ownership, possible promotion straight back, etc., do you see a chance that Parsons, for example, could be the sort of guy that comes through and spends maybe 7-8 years with us, as opposed to 1, possibly 2, and then being shipped off to the highest bidder?
I mean, I don't see why not. Clem's said about investing into the youth and everything else, so I don't see why we can't have. I don't see why we can't have that. I think it's more likely in the lower leagues, as long as the player's not an absolute superstar. I think in the lower leagues, you're more likely to stick around at your local club. I think that's more likely rather than, divisions above. I don't know. I'm not sure if there's any practical theory behind that thinking or not, but I think you've got teams around you the same wages, you've got an affiliation to that club. You've grown up there. Your family's there. I mean, there's no reason why the youth players can stay around for many years as long as they're in and around the squad. Just going back to what you was asking Ciaran just a few moments ago, I think one of the nice things about the players coming from youth and being from the local area is that there's so many people who've got stories about, I grew up with his dad, and I kicked the ball down the park with when he was 10 years old, and all this sort of stuff. And it's just magical, isn't it? I just really hope that we can start to invest more in the youth, and we have more young players coming through. But it's such a shame that the state of the club, we just binned off all our youth when I really don't think that we needed to at the end of the season. That's really hitting nerve there.
And I'm pleased to say, as I glance to my right, and another clip of Kylian Mbappe jogging his way to the corner flag. Jogging his way into the chat is a version of Mbappe. Hello, Rich.
How then, guys? You right?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Nicely timed, looking fresh.
Cheers, lads.
How was the gym?
I had to get the session, didn't I?
Come from his missus by the looks of things.
Not yet, mate.
You've joined at quite an apt time, really, because we're moving on. In fact, before that, I know you're generally a big advocate during these conversations of the youth system stuff. We were just discussing no Parsons signing contract. Is there anything you want to throw into the mix before we move on to the next topic?
Oh, me?
Yes.
Sorry, I have no idea. Sorry, what? Sorry, lads.
I'm a Red Bull, mate.
I missed the first bit of that, so yeah, sorry, lads.
Tell you what, you don't get this on the Low Strangers.
No.
Heavily edited, mate. Heavily edited. So, Rich, what I was asking was, before we move on to the next topic, as our usual advocate for the youth team and the youth setup at Swindon Town, would you like to add anything about Parsons signing a contract?
Right, sorry, I missed the name there. Sorry. No, I'm so happy that Parsons has signed the contract. I think I spoke to a few people about this, and we were thinking, actually, is he actually going to sign it? I mean, I know a few people that actually know Harry Parsons, say that he's a good lad. In fact, one of the coaches I coach with at Womber, his son's actually in the youth setup at the moment, and apparently has had a lot of advice off of Harry and keeps in touch with him. So I think to be part of the first team, and hopefully that he's still an advocate for the youth setup as well, to help the young ones follow his footsteps and sign that pro contract, I think is an encouraging step for the youth coming in. And obviously with Scott Twine obviously just going to MK Dons, there is real progression. There is a shame that we didn't keep hold of Twine, but I think we all sort of had a hunch that he was going to move on in the end. But no, hopefully he gets the chance next season. I think it's a good league for him to maybe make a few sub appearances at first, and then maybe make his claim, and hopefully get that starting lineup every week.
Now, as we move on to the next topic, it's worth noting to anyone who's unaware of how this all comes about. We have a group chat that we're all part of. We talk all things Swindon Town and others. Craig's become a dab hand at creating videos to make us laugh, things like that.
I have one on the way tomorrow.
One of the things that was excellent today was that Rich was essentially reporting live from the courtroom what was happening. However, his verdict of what happened was completely different to every other outlet's version of what happened. So
Yeah.
Rick, if you can explain to us in your terms what you think happened, and then the rest of us will discuss what's actually been said to have happened.
So actually, I actually know a lot what has actually happened now. So I have clarified with a lot of that has been put out. I'd just be clear that today's hearing went on from 10:30 this morning till 6 o'clock. So there was a lot discussed, and I think there was a lot. One of my other mates was actually listening to it as well, and we were discussing this all the way through. By the time of like 5:30, 4:45, when the actual when the adjournment actually happened and when he actually gave the ruling, I actually all thought it was going to be all doom and gloom. But prior to this, obviously, when regarding the shares, that the fact that Axis had actually claimed or were given permission to actually buy the shares off of Power, I actually thought, oh, there was some hope there. But then the fact that the judge actually ruled that he wasn't going to let the sale of the club happen today, I actually just jumped to conclusions, and I actually thought that was the worst thing for us. So, and I think it was a little bit of disappointment. I spent all my day literally watching and listening to this, and for that ruling to actually put it down on everything. So it was a bit of a shame. But now looking back at the trust's notes and everything like that, in fact, actually, we're in a very, very positive position. And hopefully now, the fact that hopefully the next couple of hearings that happen pre-trial, we actually get a successful deal out of this, you know, and hopefully Clem, the ball's in our court now. And you know what? I think we've got the right representatives for Clem to actually strike a deal and claim hold of this club.
Craig?
Yeah, I think, so I'm just going by what the trust release. What they're saying is that the court aren't going to force Lee Power to sell his shares, but they're giving him the opportunity to do it voluntary first. And then if he doesn't, then they will have to enforce it. So I think it's only a matter of time before he does. But again, as we saw, I saw some of it today. I mean, fair play to Rich for watching all that, because most of it was going over my head, and it was just like I was saying on the chat earlier, you can tell why solicitors earn all this money and everything. God, can't they argue?
Yeah.
But it was clear that Power's lawyer, solicitor, was trying to delay and put off as much as possible to just keep things going as long as possible until September, when the main court case comes up. So I think it was better news than what we thought initially. We just got to hope that Lee Power does voluntary transfer the shares over, but I bet you he doesn't, and the court will have to enforce it. That's just my opinion anyway.
I agree, Greg. I can't see it happening, to be quite honest with you. I think, and also I think the representative that is actually representing Lee Power, I honestly, I'll tell you what, she was repeating herself today, and you know, she just wasn't getting anywhere, and there was nothing. And you know what, Colin West, who's actually representing Clem Morfuni, fair play to him, smelt the bullshit straight away, and you know, his case and his sides and everything, all the evidence that he's currently got. Do you know what, we've got the best representative looking after him, and I'm confident that at the next hearing we might finally get something out of this.
Well, in the grid where I can see everyone, I'm guessing Ciaran has potentially seen the same tweet I have, because he was miming a particular chant which was aimed at the QC, sort of defending us, if you like. And when in every great story there needs to be a superhero, and QC West seems to be that hero, doesn't? Do you believe?
Yeah,
Ciaran?
I think. Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I'm hoping he's the man that's sort of coming in to save the day. Oh, Colin West, Barmy Army. But yeah, I think from what I gather from it, it seems we're in the most positive position we've been in since all this started. I think it's looking like it's edging ever closer, and it could happen at any time now if Mr. Power does decide to voluntarily sell the shares. And I don't know why he wouldn't. He's going to get 170k a year potentially, sure, and he's not got to put any more money into the club. So I don't know, if I was him, I don't know why you wouldn't get rid of him now. But it seems to be Abel off of the table at the moment. Whether obviously that they could come back in the other hearing, but it's nice that they weren't sort of mentioned. It looks like it is going to be a straight shootout between Power and Clem. Obviously, we know where hopefully the grass is greener with Clem just out of Power's hands, and hopefully he does a sensible thing, gets rid of the club before they need to go back to another hearing. But I think obviously within the next couple of weeks there'll be another hearing, and we should be a lot more clear. And hopefully that this is the end of this drawn out process, and we can go into the season and still have some transfer window left with a new owner.
And Adam,
I mean, I was just going to. Oh, sorry, Fyfe. I was literally just going to say, Ciaran, it can't get any worse with Clem, really. I mean, if we stick with Power, we're going to go insolvent anyway. So, but yeah, sorry, just had to step in there. Sorry.
Adam, you wanted to jump in at that point as well?
Yeah, I think I quite like the QC Colin West reference. Working for a law firm, as I do, in terms of Colin West QC. I mean, when he was in the original hearing that everybody was invited to, that sent explicit images into, I did a little bit of chatting around, because they all talk to each other, lawyers, etc. And he is one of the best. So I've pretty much had confidence in him from the off. It's a case for me now. It's a case of when, not if. I would probably say that by the middle of July we'll have new owners. Just because I just think that Ciaran's made a pretty good point in terms of he might as well sell up now so he doesn't have to continue funding the club. But the hold up on the force in the sale is whether he can afford to run the club. And he's got to prove that. Now, the one thing that I don't think has been clear at all so far is what is established as being able to afford to run the club. Is it a case of just paying the wages of the players we've got there? Is it the case of being able to run the club operationally, i.e. paying the bills? For me, there's not been any clarification as to how they're getting that parameter as to what's affordable. Because
that is one thing they did discuss today, Woody, and that was something that they were basically inconclusive. Basically,
exactly.
They weren't 100% sure.
If you look at, we're probably a lot more expensive to run than someone like Barrow. Even before we even touch player wages, we're probably more expensive.
Or even Woody, Waterford, the club that
and obviously
just sold.
Yeah, and he sold his shares in Waterford, and they were having troubles anyway. But I'm very confident now. I think Power will. I mean, obviously, this lawyer that he's got probably isn't very good, or if she is, she might be good. But
she's apparently one of the best in her field. Apparently, she's so busy that she can't even. She's got hardly any dates in her calendar.
Okay, well, if she's
sorry,
just from what it sounds like she was unprepared and all of this kind of stuff. I don't even think it was a female, and I mean this in the nicest respect, no disrespect to females, but it wasn't a female there before. I believe it was a male representative. So has he changed lawyers halfway through this process as well? Because I'm sure there was another guy representing him on that original court hearing that we had
There was another guy. I thought the judge had changed. I don't think the representative had changed. I think the judge might have changed.
Okay. But it was definitely Colin West QC and another guy at that first hearing. The one with the funny images. Whether they might have been just representatives of the law firm as opposed to thinking. But yeah, I'm confident. I think he'll sell up very soon.
Ned, just one last point before we move on. We've been doing these now, I don't know, lads, 6 months, something like that, probably. Definitely since January, because we did one around my birthday and around the Ipswich game. So definitely been doing it 6 months plus. So we've all sort of had our say on the ownership and where we stand, etc. To you, what would it mean to have new owners? I mean, that there are still some who rate Power. Maybe you're one of them, and that's absolutely fine. But we're generally not within the group. Where do you stand on the subject?
Don't put me in that category. Jesus Christ! The amount of hate online I'd get. My God. It's just to secure the future of the club, essentially, isn't it? So that's what it means to change the owners. The one thing I don't really understand, why doesn't he just say, if he's got to do it, why didn't he just do it now? Why is he holding on to September? Is there some, surely, if it's a case of there's something that he wants to sign over to himself or something along, something dodgy, he's not going to be able to do that because, anyone leaving a company, when you hand your notice over, if you're in charge of, lots of, I can't think of the word, possessions that are owned by the club, you wouldn't be allowed to just get rid of it, loads of stuff or sign stuff over to your name in that sort of notice period. You would, if you were held on to like a laptop for a bank, you would have to give that laptop back in your last 2 months of employment, however long your notice period is. I don't really understand.
Yeah.
Why?
I think that's one other thing they're trying to establish as well, is because Power has always said, he says, I can keep the club afloat till September, but if obviously it goes to trial, who wins his case and he doesn't transfer the funds over to Axis, is he still going to put money into the club? Is he still going to be in charge of Swindon Town? And as far as we're concerned, he still says he's going to, even though he said back in March he's not willing to put any money into the club. The club's going to be insolvent. And then last month, he's completely changed his mind again and said, oh, actually, I can keep this club afloat, etc., etc., etc. It's so conflicting. Everything that he has said has just been so conflicting over that. I've watched, I think, the three of these hearings now, and every single one, Power has changed his mind, either about where the club's position is or his position in the actual ownership of the club.
I mean,
I think
he's such a liar.
Oh yeah, it's absolute bollocks, bullshit.
I mean, with the greatest of respect, and I don't mean to sound horrible, I have got children in my house, so I have to say it relatively quietly.
Oh,
but with the greatest respect, just fuck off. Please just fuck off. Leave us alone. We don't want you here. It sounds like you don't want to be here anymore. So just go. Just cut your ties. Go and live in Switzerland or wherever it is that you live, and have a happy existence like every human wants.
It looks like we've got Christian Mark too.
Yeah. He's right though.
No, carry on, Ben. Carry on.
It gets to the point where he's got no option really. He can't stay on at Swindon. The phones won't come back. We'll never accept it. There's no coming back from at Swindon, and he's going to lose the club. He is going to. After today was a massive day in the future of the club and which was going. The pendulum has swung majorly in Clem's way. You cannot see it going against him now. It's almost certain that he is going to be our owner, bar some sort of major event that we don't know about, or something come out of the woodwork that we don't know about. He's going to be owner within the next couple of months. So surely dragging this out is costing him more money. Surely it's just make the call and just make the deal. No, stubborn fool, just make the deal. Then it's good for him, it's good for the club. He can get on with his life, and then the club can move on and heal. It's going to happen. Just a matter of time.
It sounds so simple, doesn't it, Ben? It sounds so simple. I wish it was just simple in Lee Power's head.
Yeah. It's just madness. But
ladies and gentlemen watching, because obviously it's only gentlemen here at the moment. Ladies, welcome if you want to come and share an opinion on a future episode. It's time for the main event, which I know particularly Ciaran has been looking forward to in the group chat. I set you a challenge for this episode. Ahead of Friday's massive England v Scotland Euro 2020 game. And I mean, Ciaran and Rich almost certainly won't remember, possibly looking at Rich not even being alive. But today is the 25th anniversary. Is it 25th? Yeah, 25th anniversary of England v Scotland in Euro 96 as well.
It was less than a month old.
Less than a month old, Rich. Excellent news.
I wasn't born till the October, so not even.
I was 16.
I was 6.
I was 16.
So let's just briefly, obviously this is primarily a Swindon Town forum, but let's just briefly end. I set you a challenge of coming up with a combined England-Scotland 11 of, the only rules were it had to be a realistic formation, which I'm worried what Ciaran's come up with because he said, wait till you see the formation. And you had to have seen them play. We're pretty much the only two. Oh no, and there had to be 5 from one country, 6 from the other, which I know caused a lot of debate. And I changed mine 3 times. I think Ciaran changed his every hour for the last 5 days. But before we get into that, let's just talk Euros and England v Scotland. For me personally, I thought England controlled the game against Croatia. They weren't a joy to watch. You know, we're a lot more talented than we showed, but I felt we had a certain level of control. Deserved the win, definitely. I thought Harry Kane was particularly quiet, whereas I thought Phillips was excellent, and I was pleased with Tyrone Mings as well, who'd been getting a lot of crap online about not even deserving being in the squad, and for me, he was the best defender on the pitch. As for Scotland, I had a half day yesterday, set up my telly in the garden, and everyone's looking at the result thinking they were really bad. I think genuinely they were unlucky. I mean, the second goal's unbelievable for me. I do have to question why the goalkeeper's that far off his line, but the finish is superb, and the amount of chance, or at least half chances Scotland created, they could have had 4 or 5 on another day themselves. So I think England should and probably will win Friday night. The only concern I would have is if we can't match Scotland's intensity. That'll be the main thing for me. Before we do the 11s, I'll just go around to all of you, ask your opinion on Euros in general, and obviously England, Scotland, and for those slightly older than Ciaran and Rich, if you want to discuss the Euro 96 game as well, you're more than welcome. I'll go in the order you are on the screen. So Ned, you're up first.
Yeah, love the Euros. Been buzzing for this tournament. I put on the group chat. I'm just absolutely buzzing for it. You know, the year that we had, year and a half that we've just had, this is like the perfect tonic for me. It's just a shame that, you know, you can't sort of gather in huge clusters of people to enjoy it all together. But, you know, we'll get there eventually. And that's a whole other subject we won't get into right now. Yeah, I love the Euros. I, in fact, rate the Euros higher than the World Cup, if I'm completely honest, because, you know, you always get the trash teams in the World Cup. But in the Euros...
Trash teams like Brazil and Argentina.
When they always get the Qatar and you know the rubbishy ones, you know, the African ones. I mean, they're usually quite rubbish as well, let's be honest. But yeah, the Euro is always full of good teams. You know, I really rate that. You know, the Polish. I mean, the Slovakians are, you know, on paper actually quite good. You know, all the teams in our group are absolutely fantastic. I mean, you think you look at the Croatia lineup, you look at the Czech Republic lineup, they're all absolutely fantastic players, and they're one of the worst teams in the whole tournament. So, yeah, I love the Euros. I think England have got such an amazing forward, you know, set of forwards. You know, the midfield is the best I've ever seen. It's just potentially the defence, which is, you know, will be under scrutiny in the later stages of the tournament, I'm sure. But you know, I'm absolutely buzzing for this. And I you know, I'm not saying it's coming home, but you know, I think we've got a great chance.
Coming on.
Craig?
Yeah, I mean, I've sort of generally with football in the last year, I haven't been too fast, even with Swindon up until we played Oxford. And that was the first game I watched on iFollow. It actually sort of G'd me up to want to start watching Swindon properly again. And unfortunately, that was the highlight of the season. And it was similar for the Euros. It was only until Adam shared on I think on Facebook the Vindaloo 2 video, and I watched that, and then all of a sudden I'm like, the day before I'm buzzing, you know. So yeah, it was great yesterday. That Saturday morning, I woke up and I was singing the songs. I had my Spotify playlist, which I sent out to you guys. And that was it. That was all I was doing all afternoon. 2 o'clock in the afternoon couldn't come soon enough for me. And what a game it was. You know, it was a little bit frustrating that we didn't go in a goal up. And then you're sort of thinking, oh, why do I get so emotionally involved in this? You know, because how many, like with Swindon, you know, England normally always let you down. And unfortunately, it wasn't even fortunate because we deserved the win. They played really well. We've got a really good, young, talented squad there. And I think we could, you know, I don't want to jinx it, but we've got a really good job of going far. I was going to say all the way, but I'll say we've got a good chance of going far in this tournament. And I think the Scotland game's going to be tricky. I think 2-0 against the Czech Republic, it flattered the Czechs, to be honest. I think Scotland were a lot better. I think Friday's going to be not more about ability, but how each team is mentally prepared for the game. So obviously the Scottish players, they're going to be reeling from that, getting hammered. Well, not hammered, but getting beat at home, their first tournament game since, I think, 96 it was. It'll be interesting to see how they react to that and how our young players, our young inexperienced players, approach it themselves off the back of a win. So I think it's going to be a very close game. I think we'll win again 1-0. But yeah, it's just going to be another great day, and hopefully with an England win.
And I presume you have fond memories of the dentist chair, Gaza flicking the ball over Hendry, etc.
Oh yeah, it was great. I mean, I was watching it at home. I was too young to be in the pub at the time, but it was just absolutely brilliant. And because it was against Scotland as well at Wembley, football's coming home and all that. And obviously, it hasn't been the case with this England team, but you have to remember, for those of us that are old, like me and Ned, there was the England squad were getting a lot of grief in the press running up to that. They did. They were getting. I mean, it's only until recently I think the media's sort of backed off of giving the England squad a hard time, but they were really relentless against them. So fair play to the dentist chair. That was the perfect response from Gaza and the England team against the press.
Adam?
I think we're going to spank them 4-0. If we look at the Croatia game, first of all, I guess, we forget, I think someone actually said something that made perfect sense to me. I think we forget that sometimes Croatia were World Cup finalists in the last major tournament. But without looking too much into that, they're also an aging side. And you could see that they were quite slow. But we played very well, I thought. Phillips was a whole different level. I think he was a massive surprise package. I don't think even the majority of England fans probably would have expected him to come off the bench, let alone start. And I thought him and Rice complemented each other quite well in there. I agree with your point you said earlier about Kane. He was a little bit quiet, but he was kind of playing his game that he does play sometimes where he'll drop in. The one thing that I was, funnily enough, literally probably seconds before Sterling scored, apart from saying that I thought he should go off because I thought he was our worst player on the day, was that I said the problem is when Kane was dropping in, Sterling and Foden on the right, weren't moving in. And that's what you need. When Kane drops in, you need one of those two to get in that striker's role. And then naturally what happened, Sterling drops into that striker's role and then scores, albeit with a little bit of luck along the way. But we deserve the win. The Croatians would have been one of the favourites to win the group. You know, but I said before this tournament, I thought we were going to go a little bit. We need to completely outscore the opposition. We're going to concede goals. So I was well impressed when we kept a clean sheet. You know, Mings, I questioned why he was even in the squad, let alone in the first starting lineup. And he did really well. But then looking ahead to this Friday, the thing is with Scotland, they're a bit like us, England a few years ago. They've got 4 or 5 absolute world beaters, really, in terms of their positions. Well, I'm just walking in the background. You know, with the likes of Robertson, McTominay, all really strong players. But I just think the rest of them aren't going to be strong enough, and I think we will win quite convincingly on Friday.
Ciaran, you all over the Euros?
Oh yeah, well, I've got it on in the background here, and I'm just wondering what the Germans are doing playing at the back like they are. But I think they're going to concede another one here soon. But yeah, no, I love the summer. When any tournament in the summer, like it's always just good to have football on telly every day, majority for quite a few weeks, and force it down everyone's throats for a little while. You know, sneaky getting on laptops at work, and as it was yesterday on my dual screen, the bottom one with the Scotland game on it. But yeah, in terms of England, I think we've got a good chance again. Obviously, did get to semi-final in the last tournament. We've got a similar sort of squad. A lot of them have experience of going far in tournaments. It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to say we had quite an easy run with sort of Sweden in 2018. Colombia was a tough game. But I think we've got a good chance. I think we need to get past Friday. I think it's going to be the toughest game of the group for us, and I don't think it's necessary in terms of the players that we're going to be facing. As Woody said, that they've got 4 or 5 absolute world beaters. But I think the worst thing that could have happened for us was Scotland maybe losing on Monday. They've now got to go to Wembley and want a point to prove, and they're going to be fired up for it. I think they want to get a win, and who better to get your first tournament win in your first tournament in 23 years than beating England at Wembley. But you know, I think we'll edge it on ability as being the better side, and I think we'll be up for it just as much as they are, because I think there's that sort of hope with us, but there's not that pressure there was. Like, I remember when sort of 2010s and years before that, there's always that pressure that it was the golden generation. This is the chance, we're going to do it. We've got to do it this time. Since the 2018 World Cup, there wasn't even that there. We were a bit of a surprise of how far we went, and I think this year sort of met with the same sort of trepidation that we might. We're not necessarily a full package of a squad yet. We're still probably a year or two away from another tournament away from being sort of considered favourites up there. But you know, I think get past Friday and sort of the group's in our hands then, and an ideal result would be Croatia to beat the Czech Republic, and then we're sort of guaranteed to go through almost if we weren't already.
And Ben, when it comes to Friday, it's the team with 25 right backs against the team seemingly with 25 left backs. I don't think there's a doubt that Tierney will be fit for the England game.
Oh yeah, of course he will. Scotland will be well up for this. This is their World Cup final. You know, they don't mind if they lose and go out the group stages. If they beat England, the tournament's been a success for them. I think England will need to go out. I think they need to match their intensity. But I think if we do that, man for man, we're a better squad. And in the end of the day, I think we'll turn them over. If we start well, and Scotland start badly, if we get an early one, we could run through them. It could end very badly for the Scots. But yeah, I think that England's chances-wise in this tournament, I think one of the best things that could happen to them was pushing back the tournament for a year, because they're a very young squad. And since then, a lot of the young Chelsea lads won a Champions League. They've gone far. A lot of the English clubs have gone far in Europe this season, and they've matured a year. Foden's benefited from pushing the year back. So I think England's chances have grown dramatically from pushing back a year. It worries me who we're going to get in the quarterfinals when we qualify, because I think we will. But I think we got a good chance this year. I think it's a good team. We have got we're vulnerable at the back, but winning the first game 1-0, massive confidence fella. So yeah, I'm quite confident.
And Rich, as a neutral, given that you don't have a country in the tournament, are you able to enjoy the Euros?
Yeah, of course. I think whenever there's football on, you just got to enjoy it, you got to embrace it. You see some of the best players in the world playing at this tournament. as of right now, Germany versus France. I mean, what better spectacle? Do you know what I mean? I mean, just and I think the game, well, you get to enjoy, especially like the Netherlands game the other day against Ukraine. What a game that was! It was goals galore. I know at halftime it was like, but I remember I texted one of my group chats basically saying there's going to be a couple of goals in this. Cool. I was actually wrong. There was a few goals in that. So
the thing is, Rich, for every Holland v Ukraine, there's also a Spain v Sweden.
Yeah, exactly. I think obviously it was very criticised yesterday about Spain and Sweden, and rightfully so. But I think the fact that the game was end to end, and obviously both teams having their chance. I mean, everybody that we probably know is a neutral. So watching that and being on the edge of our seats, thinking that there's going to be a goal for some reason or another, somebody skies it, you know. But it's great to watch, you know, it's great football, and it's fantastic to watch. I mean, with my thoughts on England, you know, I mean, of course, I want them to do well, and I want them to get far. And looking to the game on Friday, I think England will absolutely spank Scotland. I watched the game yesterday. Scotland were in control, but will they do that against England? Not with the formation they play. They'll be so far exposed. I think England will, with the pace that they've got up top. If Kane stops getting in so deep and getting into the right positions, I think he'll bag a couple, and I don't just mean penalties.
Well, there's a fair amount of confidence amongst you. Let's see how confident you are with your teams. I'm happy to put my neck on the block first. When I was picking my team, I tried not to just go for the obvious players as such. I tried to do it realistically within a formation and who I think would work, but there are a couple of obvious names thrown in. And I believe technically I've got 5 English, 5 Scottish, and 1 that's both. So I think, although as I was doing my little bit of research into it, I found just like the majority of Scottish players that I've seen play for Swindon are actually like born in Liverpool and Portsmouth and, you know, places like this, but somehow end up representing Scotland. But here we go. So I've gone for a 3-4-3 formation. I've gone with Fodringham in goal, representing England. My back three is 2 Scotsmen and 1 Englishman. I've got Sean Morrison alongside Gordon Greer and Jay McEverley. My 4 across midfield from right to left, I've gone Byrne, Easton, Gladwin and Ritchie. With my 3 up front, Austin, Parkin, and everyone's favourite Swindon striker of the last 2 decades, Blair Sturrock, making up the Scottish contingent.
Blair Sturrock.
You pissed? You pissed, especially when you picked that shirt out.
I've written down. The first name I had written down was Lee Peacock, and I thought, so many people are going to pick Lee Peacock, I have to pick someone different.
Blair Sturrock.
So yes, that is my.
Who's the manager, Paul?
He got a game because of his dad.
Go on, Ben. I will go with you next because I don't believe, Rich, am I right in thinking you haven't got a team assembled? Is that correct?
I've got one in my head.
You got one in your head. Okay, I'll come to you at the end. Ben,
I was going to say, well, I've got it in my head.
Let's go with your team, Ben.
Okay, in goal, I've got Fraser Digby, some old school, probably one of the best goalkeepers we've ever had. Right back, Caddis. Oh, 4-4-2 I've gone, by the way. No, left back.
Old school
4-4-2
as well, Ben.
I've gone 4-4-2. Left back, now I struggled with find a decent left back that's been Scottish or English. I actually went for the nutter Sol Davis himself. So I plumped for in the end. So he went off to have a decent career. but it was absolute Fruit Loop, and I enjoyed Sol Davis when he played. The two centre-backs, you couldn't go much further, look further. Colin Coldwood, fantastic centre-back, went on to play Premier League, Scotland, played for Scotland in a major tournament, France 98, I think. Brilliant. Sean Taylor, club legend, has to pick him. On the right wing, Scottish, I've gone Matt Ritchie, who will work with Caddis, cut on the left side, and Caddis can overlap on the right. Centre midfield.
It was obvious, Ben. You're obvious, though. That's too obvious.
It is obvious, I know, but I wrote this down whilst I was at work. Centre midfield, I've gone Simon Ferry. We all look a bit Simon Ferry, box-to-box midfielder, works hard. Next to him, Glenn Hoddle, obviously, another obvious one. And to the left wing, I've got Wally Walters, class player, either foot, amazing. Just, you know, we saw him towards the back end of his career when his career was in the decline slightly, but he was a class above. Up front, Charlie Austin, obviously. And next to him, as you said earlier, we're all probably going to pick him, Lee Peacock, the coach himself. So that's my 11. I mean, I'll do all right.
Good.
That's a very, very good 11, and it didn't get. I mean, I'll be honest, it didn't get the reaction mine got. I think people prefer my team.
Yeah, your 11's amazing. Your 11's amazing. And any 11 with Blair Sturrock in is absolutely outstanding.
Actually, I want to save Ciaran till the end because I know he's worked so hard. We were joking about it off air that he's got a starting lineup, he's got subs, he's got a manager.
I just realised I've got to take one of my subs out because he's not even English or Scottish. I fucking forgot Simon Cox is Irish. Technically, he plays for Ireland. He was in my starting lineup. He was one that I've had to take out. Going, really big loss. He wouldn't even fucking should have even been in there. So I've got to change the sub.
Replace him for Jan Fjortoff or someone like that.
Yeah. Alan McCormack who was in it at one point.
Next up, I'm going to ask Adam, what's your combined England-Scotland 11, please?
So I've gone with my favourite formation in terms of with my teams as well, which is 4-3-3. Now, I will add that there's going to be some names in there that you go, well, why hasn't he included him? I never saw Hoddle play, and I never saw Calderwood play to start with. Okay, so
did you see though? The big question: did you see Blair Sturrock play?
I saw him try to play. Yeah. And the other thing, I want a little disclaimer here because I know that Ciaran spent hours on his. I literally started mine at 4:00 this afternoon and finished it at 6 minutes past 4. So it was completely instinctive. So there will be players missing. So in goal, I've gone for Diggers as well, Fraser Digby, absolute class player. Right back, I've gone for Paul Caddis, mainly because I needed someone Scottish. The back two, and again, one of them is because I needed someone Scottish. I've gone Sean Taylor and Gordon Greer. Left back, I have probably controversially, I thought about Sol Davis, but then I remembered how much I love this man, Matty Taylor. So I went for Matty Taylor in his prime at left back.
Forgot all about Matty Taylor. Yeah.
And then the only player from this era in holding midfield is McLaren. I saw him play one game for Swindon, so I was able to include him in my squad. In front of him, I've gone for young and prime Milner and Mason as the two slightly more attacking. And then my front three, Sam Parkin leading the way, Matty Ritchie on the right of him, and Mr. Yates on the left of him.
Oh.
And I did have a subs bench as well, but I won't go through that.
Craig, I think we're on to you now.
Yeah, I was conflicted with mine. I've gone for a mixture of obvious and not so obvious. So again, Fraser Digby.
Not so obvious.
Yeah, well, not Blair Sturrock obvious. I went for Fraser Digby as well. I think he won the Advert Player of the Year 3 times. You know, he was just solid, and yeah, that's proof. I've gone for 4-4-2 as my formation, Mike Bassett style.
You guys are old school. You need to move with the times. 4-4-2 doesn't work in the modern era.
Yeah, I know. But I'm like Mourinho. I'm stuck in the past, mate. So yeah. So I was conflicted about this because I've gone for 3 of my back 4 are Scottish. but you'll see why when I've put who I've put in midfield and up front. But that means that I've excluded my favourite player, Sean Taylor, in the back four, which is a bit of a surprise.
The
So,
reaction, no one.
Controversial. I don't
the
even never
reaction
saw him
that
play,
I've
but
seen
favourite
from
player
Luca.
excluded.
Sean, if you're watching, please forgive me.
Don't.
So right back, I've gone Paul Caddis, obviously. Centre backs, Gordon Greer and Colin Calderwood. Left back, I've gone for Nicky Summerby, because when we sold Paul Bowden, Nicky Summerby replaced him as left back. We didn't bring a left back in, and obviously Nicky Summerby was one hell of a player.
I just want to give a token shout out because he's had a couple of mentions now. Gordon Greer is doing tremendously well in this combined 11.
It's only because he's Scottish. That's the only reason.
I bet he was the last name on everybody's team sheet.
Yeah. So in my midfield four, I've got Matt Ritchie on the left. In the centre, I've got Michael Carrick. I did see him a couple of times. And best player to ever wore Swindon shirt, Glenn Hoddle, of course. And on the right, I've put Jimmy Davis. I saw him quite a few times that season. He was on loan. He was absolutely quality. And I think, God bless him, if he hadn't have passed away, he'd have gone on to be something absolutely immense. He was just something else on that right-hand side.
Good shout.
And then up front, and then up front, I've gone Charlie Austin and Sam Parkin.
No pressure then, Ned, but this is your first time to show off to any watching Swindon fans. What have you come up with?
Right. Okay. So I am in celebration of our new hero, John McGreal. I've gone with his favourite formation, 4-2-3-1. So in goal.
One up front, which means Parkin or Austin isn't in your team.
Neither.
Oh,
controversial.
Oh,
There we go. Right. So.
Don't invite him back.
Well, you wait. Listen.
I reckon I could guess who he's got up front.
Yeah.
Duncan
Okay,
Shearer.
we'll see. Write it down.
Or Chalky.
So, in goal, Fraser Digby, best keeper, England B, if I'm not mistaken.
121, I think, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolute quality, best we've ever had. So for the Scottish contingent, was that?
You were laughing at your own team. We haven't even heard it yet. You're reading off the paper.
I'm looking at it. It does make me laugh because he's not actually that good. So left back. This is on the basis that he did quite well before he joined us. Jane McEverley, Scotland. 3 caps for Scotland, would you believe? 3 caps, unbelievable.
I nearly put McEverley because he's a winner. He's a league winner. So there
we go. So right back, I've gone Nicky Summerby because he was just so accurate with his crosses, absolute legend. Centre backs, Scottish player Colin Calderwood and Sean Taylor. They were the best defensive partnership I've ever seen. I was going to put in Terry Fenwick again just for his illustrious career, but yeah, Sean Taylor, I couldn't take him out. And like you, Craig. Right. So the 2 in front, so in the midfield, I've got Michael Carrick. When he was on loan at Swindon, my God, no one could get the ball off him. He just dribbled around everyone. He was such a good player. Absolutely incredible. And partnering him, I've got Scott Leach for the Scottish contingent. It was just so good. He just gave 100% all the time. He's just so solid in the tackle. These 2 players have obviously been mentioned. Out wide, I've got on the left, I've got Mark Walters, who I didn't actually realise until I looked online. He played more games for us and scored more goals for us than he did for Liverpool. Interesting. And on the right hand side, I got Matt Ritchie, again, another of the Scottish contingent. And then my sole striker up front. Who do you reckon it is?
Hang on, you missed one. You missed the one in the middle.
Scott Leach and Michael Carrick.
No, but it was 4-2-3-1. You've only said the two at the top.
Sorry, yeah, my bad. My bad. So then I would go with I've not written down. George and Dar is my player that I'm going just behind the strikers.
Right.
What a player.
Yeah.
So good.
What
So
a player.
good.
So fast. So fast.
Oh, incredible.
Oh, such a good player. Such a shame what happened to him. Yeah, good player.
So
Good
good.
player.
We went downhill after we sold him.
Yeah, did. Did for
Just
him,
before
poor
you conclude, Rich, who are you predicting is the striker?
Oh, I think we all guessed it, didn't we? It's Duncan Shearer, isn't it?
Yes. Duncan
Shearer.
Shearer, my favourite
Done.
player of all time. Just absolutely brilliant. So good. You know, whenever we played football, me and my brother, one of us would be Chalky, one of us would be Shearer. Oh, just amazing. It was just such a good striker. Blackburn I can never forgive them for what they did. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Well, I do believe that's going to prove a very popular 11 with the viewers. Before we go on to Ciaran's masterpiece, just very quickly, the team in your head, Rich?
Yeah, so West Foderingham in goal. It was definitely one of the best keepers of the time that I've watched Swindon. Up there with Phil Smith, but I chose with Foderingham. I've gone 3-4-3. So I actually put Caddis at right centre back just because I needed someone Scottish with Gordon Greer and Nathan Thompson. And then in midfield, I've actually gone with, on the right, John Paul McGovern, Simon Ferry, Jonathan Douglas, and Matt Ritchie on the left.
Is Douglas not Irish?
Who?
Is Douglas not Irish?
He is.
Yes, Douglas is Irish. Oh, shit.
I think the actual Irishman's better Irishman.
He can play with Cox.
No, Douglas is definitely Irish, pal.
Oh dear.
He's frozen. Like he's frozen in astonishment. Rich, you still there?
Sorry, yeah, I froze.
He was actually born in Ireland as well.
And he's played eight games for them.
He's
played 8 games for him as well.
What's even better is that Rich is an Ireland fan. Do you wanna make a quick substitution, pal?
Yeah.
At least Cox was born in England.
To be fair, though, that was a complete random one, to be honest with you, Jonathan Douglas.
Mate, let's be honest. After the conversation we had the other day about favourite players, if Douglas was English or Scottish, do you not think I would have put him in?
No.
I mean, you did just put Blair Sturrock in your squad.
Yeah, exactly.
But to quote everyone else, I needed someone Scottish.
Okay, hang on, I'll come back to that midfielder
Right.
then. So I've gone Richie.
When you've actually remembered the rules. Ciaran, let's hear your
Hang on,
masterpiece.
no. Oh, hang on, I'm just going to finish my team. Hang on.
Got Jarlager Fjordtoft up top.
Big day picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Rory
So
Fallon.
Ricky Shakes.
Richie on the left, Yates, Austin, and Painter up top. Midfielder.
Surely Simon Ferry.
Yeah, I said Simon Ferry, didn't I?
Crazy.
Mate, surely you can think of one
I'll
English or
change-
Scottish midfielder.
Say again?
Surely you can think of one English or Scottish midfielder. Michael Pook?
Yeah, I'll get Michael Pook. I actually saw Michael Pook play, so yeah, I'll go with Michael Pook.
just for the just for the banter, and just so you wanted to get him in a team.
Michael Pook played in the same squad as Blair Sturrock. I can't believe it. They got promoted.
Rich, you were better off going for Taylor Curran.
Lol.
Ciaran, let's hear what you finally settled on then.
So I got Christian Roberts up top. Right. So my formation, I've got 3 at the back, 3 in mid is like a midfield sort of circle, and then I've got 3 at
3 in
top.
a circle. What school did you go to?
It's like, isn't it all like that's the, I can't see it very well. That's
The diamond.
A diamond.
The time.
it's
Yeah,
a
it's
little
a bit more professional than this normally.
Circles are forever.
So my goalkeeper is Wes Fodringham.
Where's Luke Fodringham?
My lone out and out centre back is Gordon Greer.
Because you needed someone Scottish.
No, because he's a good centre back. He's one of the best centre halves, and he was the centre half sort of had to be Scottish. My left back is
15 years of coaching, I've never heard someone go, my lone out and out.
it'll make sense. It'll make sense in a minute. There is another centre back. It'll make sense in a minute. Just the way I'm playing them because I'm taking
Nathan
very
Thompson's and CDM then.
right. Left back is Stephen Darby.
Okay.
Left back.
My right back is Paul Caddis. My defensive midfielder that can also cover as a centre back when needed is Jack Stevens.
Right.
Yeah.
My left central midfielder is John Paul McGovern.
Who always played on the right, yeah.
But he'll so with Lee Peacock playing as a central attacking midfielder, Lee Peacock's just going to play in behind the striker and can cover as a second striker when needed. Then John Paul McGovern can have that sort of free role like he did at Southampton, the Johnson's Paint Trophy.
I'm very confused what's going on here. This team's all like they're just sort of running
my other central midfielder that is playing more predominantly on the right side is Ryan Mason. But he can sort of come in and drop in for Jack Stevens when he needs to go back a bit more defensively. So you got someone in holding there. And then
I can see the circle. It's a circle. It's a rotating circle.
He can just drop in here. He can just drop back here sometimes, and he can come across here and he can go up here. It's all very thought out.
Overhead more than Pep.
Lee Peacock just in front of the sort of John Paul McGovern and Ryan Mason. My left winger is Danny Wood.
Danny, yeah.
Right winger is Matt Ritchie because obviously he was better on the right when he had Caddis. So I think he's playing as a right wing back. He's coming. These are more like right wing backs. So they're coming down here.
Whoever's listening to the podcast version of this is going to have to be really creative. Really imagine it.
And then
no one's listening to the podcast version this far, surely.
and my striker's Charlie Austin. My substitutes.
I presume he's covering for Gordon Greer when he goes up for set pieces.
Oh no, Wes Fodringham when he gets sent off as substitute at half time. League One, Wes. My substitutes is David Lucas as my keeper substitute, Simon Ferry, Craig Easton, Scott Twine, Gerald Eiffel, Billy Painter, and Jay McEverley. Billy Painter was a late addition for Simon Cox, who was sat on the sixth bench and was actually in the starting lineup up until the train home this afternoon, and then I think Glitzy wasn't Scottish. But yeah, I've dropped Ferry because I think Ryan Mason's better.
Well, if nothing else, Ciaran, you've been very entertaining with your 11. Adam, just briefly before we conclude, if you could just offer a professional coaching view on that setup, please.
Oh, my manager is Danny Wilson as well, who's clearly just been lost.
I think Danny Wilson's probably the only person who could manage that side. To me,
I think Morris Malpass will give it a good go.
When you upload this, finally, can you, if we all send you over a graphic of our team, can you make sure that Ciaran's has got the little arrows on it so we know where the points are? because I just think it's just going to be a line. It's just going to be Wes Foderingham there, Wes Foderingham there.
Oh, yeah,
there, and then Gordon Greer there.
You need one centre back because Wes Foderingham being like a bit of a sweeper keeper, so he was quite good with his feet at times, apart from at Preston once.
That concludes another what turned into absolute farcical show of the STFC fan chat. To anyone watching, as always, thank you very much for your time. Anyone listening to the podcast version, as Craig said, why? You know, he's really trying to sell it to the listeners. We will be recording again very soon. And there's just one last thing to do before I conclude, and that is give you your challenge for the next episode. And given that it's likely to be recorded around the weekend sometime, we'll do kind of a Father's Day special-ish. And if you pick your favourites, not necessarily the best players you've seen play, I want your favourites. This is where the secret Blair Sturrock fans and the secret Michael Pook fans and the David Duke fans start putting them into your 11s. Again, realistic formations. You have to have seen them play, but no limitations on nationality. To give you an example, a little preview, in my team, without question, will be Sofian Zaboo.
Just carry on the charity match count.
Nationality.
Until next time, thank you to you guys for joining me this evening. Thank you to anyone watching or listening. Let us know your combined 11s. There are a couple of people coming back with ideas of players that should be in there. I think most of them got at least one mention because you had to pick someone Scottish. Until next time, come on England on Friday, and we will see you again soon. Good night.
Cheers, Steve.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, Steve. That was awesome, mate.